Hi guys, welcome to Mike's Guitar Workshop. Today we're going to be comparing three affordable guitars in the Strat sort of shape. And they're all HSS. They've all got satin necks. They've all got maple necks. Some of the fretboards are a little bit different. And they're all in the same price range. So let's see what we have and let's see how we go. Thanks again to Marshall Music who supplied these three guitars for me today. We have the Yamaha Pacifica 112. We have the Squire Affinity. And we have the Ibanez AZES40. They all have an HSS configuration. They all have a satin maple neck. But the fretboards are all different. But besides that, they're all pretty much the same price with a bit of discount. So let's see what we get for that sort of money. And let's not forget, these are all entry-level guitars. So good for the student, the beginner, or somebody just starting with the guitar. This is what these guitars are aimed at. So let's see what we get for our money. We're going to start with a Pacifica, and I'll just read you through some of the basic specs. On the Pacifica we have an alder body. The finish is a polyurethane gloss, maple neck, a rosewood fretboard, 22 medium frets, scale length of 25.5 inches. Alnico pickups, 2 single coils and a humbucker. 5-way switch, and on this particular guitar we have a split coil, and that's for the humbucker, which you can split that. Some of the other guitars also have split coils and some other features, but we'll get into that just now. So let's start with the fit and finish. All these frets on this particular guitar will need some work. They're all very sharp. The finishing on this particular guitar, I would say, is adequate. There's no buzzing, but there's no buzzing because the action is very high. So once the action gets sorted, I won't be able to tell if that is going to still have no buzzing. The neck relief is very conservative, so pretty high there. The nut cut is fine, no problem. What I did find on the Pacifica is that the string break angle on the top here, I will put a photo in, it's very shallow. There is a string tree here, but in my mind it's just too far away. It should have been put closer here to give you a steeper neck break angle. So as it sits, it's pretty useless. Especially the D string is almost flat on the nut. So that would have benefited from a street ring just over here, which is something you could fit yourself, of course, because it actually buzzes on the other side of the nut. And this paper actually illustrates it very well. So there's that issue. The paint finish is nice. It's pretty much what you expect. Can't really comment on that. There is some tarnishing on the neck plate here, but I don't know if that'll polish out or not. I'm just letting you know what I see as it comes out the box. It's got some minor scratches in the paintwork. And also, once again, I don't know if that'll just polish out. So the action is extremely high on this guitar, so I would suggest that you have it set up. Let's give it some points. Finish, I would almost give it a 5, but the finish on the neck is, although it's a satin finish, it's a bit rough. I can feel there's like dust or something underneath there. So that's a pity about that. All the fret ends are very sharp, so a couple of points deducted for that. The fact that there's no string tree on this D string, that's a bit of a miss on there. But for the rest, I'd say pretty nice. The bridge is very comfortable. There's no sharp bit sticking out. I don't have the trem arm for here, so I can't really give it a go in that respect, but it looks very standard. So it'll be pretty stiff. It's bolted down to the deck, so it's not a floating trem per se, but you could easily adjust that, so that's not an issue. So fit and finish, I'm going to give this a 3. Playability, the action's very high. As I say, it will need some work. All the fret ends need to be sorted out. They're very sharp. I would definitely suggest putting a string tree there. A string tree. Playability, the neck is nice. It's nice and comfortable, C-shape. Nothing wrong with that. And I'm sure in time this matte finish will wear in a little bit and it'll feel even better than it does. In fact, I can't even tell if there's any finish on here at all. It could just be sanded. So I can't really tell, because I mean I've felt satin finishes before, and you can feel there's a satin finish on there. This just feels like, to me, it just feels like sanded wood. But anyway, I can't comment on that too much. Tuners are pretty standard, nothing spectacular there. The guitar does hold tune. Nice feature is the split coil, and I do like the knurled buttons on here. They're actually some kind of metal, so that's a nice touch for the Pacifica. Playability, I'm going to give it also a 3, purely for the fret ends, but it is comfortable, although it's the edges are a little bit sharp here for my taste, but some people won't mind that. But it feels comfortable to hold. It's got the nice belly carve over here, if you have a belly. For money on this one, I'm going to give it a... I'll give it a 4, actually. Next we have the Squire Affinity, and this is a poplar body with a maple neck and a C profile. Neck radius is 9.5 on this particular one. It's got a maple fretboard. Scale length is also 25.5. It's got ceramic pickups, single coils and humbuckers, and it's just got a standard volume and 2 tone pots and a 5-way switch. So there's no split coil on this particular one. It does have a nice flamed maple veneer over the top, so that's very nice. The back is also, there's various colors. Look, all of these guitars have got to come in different colors, but I chose this one because of I think it looks quite nice. So it's got a nice little veneer over the top there, C-shaped neck, and once again, this finish is either there or it's not there. I can't really tell. If I'm looking at it in a light like this, it just feels like a sanded neck. They say it's got a satin finish over the top, but once again, I'm feeling it's almost like it's little bits of wood that I can feel, or it's dust or whatever. But after playing it for a while, I'm sure that will go away. The frets on this particular guitar are the nicest. The work on the frets is the nicest of all 3 of them. Very smooth, but unfortunately all the fret ends are popping out and are a bit sharp. At least it's got a string tree that is further towards the nut, but the D is also once again fairly shallow, but it doesn't buzz. So that's a handy one there. Very comfortable, as a normal Strat would be. Got your 5-way switch. There's no split coil here whatsoever. This particular fridge this particular bridge, sorry, this bridge is set up as a floating bridge. I don't have the arm, unfortunately, so I can't really test that. But I can see it's actually lifted off the deck. So very nice. String radius is a bit wonky, so that'll need a setup. Let's have a look at the relief. Also very conservative, could do with a bit of tweaking. Action very high, so obviously you'll get no buzzing anywhere. That's pretty obvious with a string action that's that high. Once it's set up though properly, that might change. But in essence, it's very playable. It's not a problem. The neck feels a bit thicker compared to the Yamaha. It's a bit more chunky, which is not a problem. It feels nice in the hand. It's not a fast neck, but it's not meant to be that. Fit and finish, almost a 5 actually. Everything seems in place. I'm going to have to deduct a point for the slightly rough frets. The fret polishing is actually very good, so it's nothing happening there. The feel of the paint on the neck specifically is a bit, it just feels a bit unfinished. So, but even so, it does have a gloss, a nice gloss headstock on the front. So that's nice. The nut is nice. It's cut nicely. Let's have a quick look. Yep, that's all good. So quick setup, and this guitar is a runner. So fit and finish a 4. Comfort, very comfortable, obviously, your typical Strat. So everything's just smooth and nice and just feels good. The bridge feels nice, nothing poking out. And even the little set screws that are sticking out are not sharp. So that's very nice. Nice 2-point trem, so that's very good. So actually a fit and finish, I'm going to give it a 4 for that. Value for money. Value for money, I will say on this particular one, I'll give it a 4 for this. Radio, moving on to the Ibanez AZES40. Here are the quick specs. Poplar body, polyurethane finish, maple neck, Taba fretboard, 22 frets. The pickups are the essentials, single coil, and a humbucker, the Accord humbucker. It's got a 5-way switch with a volume and tone, and the alter switch, which gives you some extra wiring. So here's the Ibanez. The internet has been absolutely packed with reviews on this guitar, and I was very much looking forward to reviewing this. In fact, I was going to buy one for myself, just to have as a Strat, because I liked the size, I liked the weight, I liked what it did with the pickups. Unfortunately, this is the second guitar that I got sent, because the first one was just absolutely not happening. So we thought maybe it's a dud. So let's have another one. So this is another one out the box. It's still got all the plastics on it. Unfortunately, however, although there are no paint chips and no dings in the neck like the other one had, the fretwork is some of the worst that I've ever seen on any guitar. The board has just been leveled, and that's where it stopped. The frets weren't polished, they weren't re-radiused. Very rough frets. Fret ends though are nice. They actually, I'm quite surprised on that. Unfortunately, the nut is also skew. So the distance between the nut end and the first fret is shorter on the bass and longer on the treble. So the nut is actually being cut skew. The nut slot has been cut skew, and then the nut is fitted. So that's just some lack of attention to detail over there in the Indonesian factory. This one is made in Indonesia. Fretboard, very dry. It's got a nice glossy headstock. But to me, playability is more important than aesthetics. And once again, this satin finish is rough, feels rough. It feels like it's got bits of wood inside. Or alternatively, there's no finish on here at all. And it's just been sanded. Because wherever you touch it, it's just rough. It's not smooth. That'll play in after a while. But for the money, I think they could have at least given us a decent, this is true for all three guitars, a decent satin finish. I think they skimmed a little bit on that, and they hang 100 necks in a booth and they from a distance spray something and hope it gets there. But the silk screening is not under the clear coat, it's just, or maybe it is, I can't even tell. The only thing that's for sure is that it's got a glossy headstock. So there's definitely some clear coat over there, but I can't guarantee that there's any on the neck, and that goes for all three of these guitars. So that's a bit of a pity. So let's just give this a rating. Fit and finish, I'm going to have to give this one. The body is fine, the paintwork is fine, it's not a problem. The carving of the parts is a bit random on this guitar. It's not immediately obvious, but there's a bump here in the belly carve. There's a bump just over here. The radius of this particular piece is not even. There's a bump over there. The radius of this is not even. There's a bump over here. It's not anything anybody would notice, but I noticed these things because I used to be a spray painter and we had to tape up perfect circles by hand. So my eye is just attuned to perfect radiuses, radii, and when I see that there's a radius and there's a little bump, I can just see it immediately. And even on the internet, on the YouTube, on all the reviews, I just noticed that, and I was just hoping it was a trick of the light, but unfortunately it's not. So what I'm saying is that this and this is not even. It's not an even radius, and it's very evident to me just looking at, there's a bump over here, so it's not an even radius, and even this line is wobbly, so that's unfortunate. But look, it's not a $4,000 guitar. It's not one of these that's hanging here. So you've got to keep that in mind. But even so, I think if they want to charge you the money that they're charging you, because there are cheaper guitars out there, much cheaper, half the price of this, and to me they're exactly the same quality. There's basically no difference. So my question is, why are we paying that sort of money for these entry-level student guitars when there are so many issues? I'm just looking at this nut and I can see plastic sticking out beyond the place where it leaves the string. So that's just a bit sloppy, and the fact that this nut is skew, I mean, that is just unacceptable in my books. The only redeeming factor of this guitar is it's got the little switch here, which gives you some extra tones. That's nice. It's got some features that are nice. I mean, I'm not saying it's complete garbage. The bridge saddles, they're tubes. So the set screws are sunk right into those tubes, so you'll never have any issues of the set screws poking out. So that's nice. It's got quite a nice bevel on the plate, which I've just noticed now, which the others don't have. They're just straight. The jack plug is also apparently student proof. So it's a single unit. I have taken this apart. I had to repair one. Well, when I say repair, there was just an issue with something else, so I just had a look at this. It's a single plastic unit, very small footprint, and apparently very solid, student proof. But to me, student proof is more what the Strat does, where it has it over here, you know, because students will still put this down without thinking too much, and they could break that jack or their cable. So having it there, as the Strat does, is a better design for me, if this is aimed for students, which it is. So there we have it. Let's give it a rating. Fit and finish, almost a 5, actually, but points deducted for the bad sanding, points deducted for the very rough frets. That's just lazy as far as I'm concerned. The Squire is the same price, and it's got nicely rounded frets. The fret ends are nice. Let's just see the rest. The relief is actually spot on this particular one. Oh, that's because I set it. I just remember now. This guitar came with a slight back bow, so they asked me just to relieve the neck a little bit, and that's what I did. So that's why this relief is spot on. I did not change. I did also have to set the string radius here. It was very much like that. So I did quickly set that because it was absolutely shocking. Fit and finish. I was going to give this a 5, but I have to deduct points for the bad sanding, shape sanding. I have to deduct some points for the nut, which is sitting skew. No excuse for that. I definitely have to remove some points for the very scratchy frets. And again, this neck finish in inverted commas, because I believe it's just bare wood. So this particular guitar gets a 2. Playability, it plays nice, but maybe that's because I did a very slight setup. So that's very nice. Playability, I'm going to give it a 4. Value for money, going to give this a, unfortunately, due to the other facts, I was going to give it a 5 because it's got the alter switch. I noticed that the, I'm just playing here, this nut is loose, completely loose here. So these are not even properly mounted. This washer is loose, I'm saying, which is pulling the tuner to the left, and that's, if I bet you if I loosen this, I'll just turn that nut. So value for money, I'm going to give this, unfortunately, a 3. Let's have a listen to it nonetheless. I'm not going to get into the alter switch. I'm going to leave that off because the others don't have that. So it'll just be single coil, humbucker, which is in that position. Pretty much like the others have. Let's have a look. So there we have it, guys. 3 guitars in the budget range. They're all workable. They're all a good starting platform, I would say, for modding. This one in particular, although it's probably scored the lowest because of the switching and this very nice looking bridge, it's probably got the most potential in my mind. So don't let the scores bother you too much. It's just my personal view. What I'm saying is you can't really go wrong with any one of these. If you go for the Ibanez, however, just have a look at that fretboard and try and find one that's just been finished off a bit better. The other two are not a problem. The Yamaha, although the frets are okay, they were a bit tarnished. So yes, they'll just need a polish. The nicest frets were the ones on the Squire. The nicest fret ends, in fact, was this guitar here. So you've heard all the sound samples, one after the other. You can then decide they're all going through the same patches exactly. I haven't changed anything. I haven't changed the volumes. So there we have it. If you like this kind of unbiased review video, please hit the like and please subscribe. And once again, thanks to Marshall Music for making this possible. Really appreciate it. They went to great lengths to send me 2 of these in the hope that one of them would be better. It was better, but still needs a little bit of work. I'm still a little bit, maybe I'm just too pedantic. I'm just used to other stuff. So guys, there you have it. 3 entry-level budget guitars. And I know I will be asked in the comments, what is my recommendation? So I'm going to put it this way. If you're a player and you don't mind fiddling a bit, then I think the best sounding out of those 3 was, for me, the Ibanez. It's got more switching. I didn't even get into the humbucker mode of the neck and the bridge pickup, so it's got all of that going for it. So if you're a player and you don't mind fiddling, get the Ibanez. If you want something that you know is going to just work, get the Squire. And if you want something that is neither of the two because you don't like the shape, or you want something a bit more modern, then get the Yamaha. You can't go wrong with either one of them. They all have their little flaws, but that's what happens in budget guitars. It happens also in expensive guitars, so don't feel bad about it. I've just given you the sounds. All the sounds I played are exactly through the same patches. The Yamaha did have some intonation issues. It was tuned, believe me. But yeah, they all need a bit of work. They all need a bit of setup. So there you have it, guys. Thanks so much for joining. Please, if you like this kind of unbiased and straightforward review, give us a like, a thumbs up, and please subscribe if you can. And until the next time, see you then.